Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because what we can see is actually a rejection in the chart from this big level of resistance, which is hitting from 71K all the way up to 73,000 US dollars. So as of right now, if you want to see the Bitcoin price move higher, then at the very least, you want to see Bitcoin clear this high right here at 71.5K. And then above that at 72K. However, for now, what we can see is that after this rejection, Bitcoin fell right into this level of support, which is sitting from 70,000 US dollars all the way down to 68.5K. So potentially we could see a bounce from there, and we might already be seeing that right here because we are setting higher lows in the price and higher highs. And so long as that doesn't change, then the price will just trend up and go up over time. But in the case that you do see the Bitcoin price trade further to the downside here and actually below this 68.5K level, well, in that case, the next big level of support is actually this ascending trend line right here, where depending on when it would actually touch the trend line here, is sitting roughly at about 67.8K. So if we do now get a larger pullback here, that is potentially one of the levels where the Bitcoin price could bounce from. And another key level to watch is actually this level right here at 67.5K, roughly speaking, because this might act as some short-term support. And now one more chart is actually this descending channel that we have been observing for a couple of weeks at this point on the channel, where we faked out right here. So trading to the upside above that point of the breakout and then trading right back below into the range. So the key level to watch for this chart is actually 71K as well, because in the case that you do start seeing that breakout to the upside, well, in that case, it is likely that we are at the very least going back to that previous all-time high level that is sitting right here. But if you see the price trade up to this level and then get a rejection, yes, then likely we are going lower, and you should look at those support levels that I was talking about earlier in the video. Now, the reason I am not like turbo bullish right now, even though I am seeing a lot of other crypto YouTubers and stuff like that be insanely bullish, is because I am simply just a more risk averse trader. So I would never get like insanely overly bullish like I am seeing some other people right now. I like to manage my risk and always kind of stay aware that yes, there is completely the potential that we just trade up to this level and then just start trading down from there. Because if you just look at it objectively on this chart and take away all the bullish momentum and sentiment, well, in that case, we are just trading inside this consolidation pattern that Bitcoin has just been consolidating in for a long time now. So until I actually see a clear breakout, retest, and resumption, I am not flipping too bullish, because we are simply at the top of this range and have not broken out of it yet. So also taking a look at this RSI momentum indicator on the 4-hour time frame, we can see some very volatile action in the RSI recently. However, yesterday and the day before, we reached into that overbought territory, and just like I was talking about in the previous two videos, whenever the RSI is in deep overbought territory, there is limited room to the upside usually. So usually what you'll see is actually that the price will either start consolidating sideways or actually get a bit of bearish momentum in order to reset the RSI back to around this 50 level right here. And this doesn't have to be a bad thing, because the RSI can reset either by the price just trading sideways, in which case the RSI would trend slowly to around that 50 level, or if the price gets some bearish momentum, then the RSI will trend down more quickly and can even go past that 50 level, because whenever the RSI is below 50, it means that the price is experiencing some bearish momentum. And just taking a look at the 1-hour time frame for the RSI for Bitcoin, again, we saw that overbought territory being reached and then resetting back to around that 50 level, just like expected. And what you should be looking out for right now is, for example, something like this trend line, where if you do see the RSI trade below that trend line, potentially it could be a bit of a momentum shift for Bitcoin in the immediate short term, because remember, we are looking at the 1-hour time frame, so this is very short-term stuff. However, I do want to have mentioned it, because if you do see the RSI break below that trend line, in that case, we could expect to start seeing some more bearish momentum. And actually, speaking of support, you can see that recently Bitcoin broke above this 0.786 Fibonacci level about 2 days ago, where it went above it and then traded back to this Fibonacci level. And we basically closed the day exactly on that Fibonacci level. So the key level to watch is actually this 70.1K level, because in the case that we do start seeing a bounce from here, then likely we go back up to this high. And once we do clear that 71.6K level, then it is very likely that the Bitcoin price will reach back up to that all-time high level. So these are some price levels that you should be looking out for in the short term here. Now taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps on the 24-hour time frame, and in the case that you are not familiar with this chart, all you really need to know is that typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is most liquidity on this chart. So in this case, we have a lot of liquidity sitting right here at about 70.7K, 70.8K. And we took out some of that liquidity in this move to the upside. However, there is still more liquidity sitting at 70.8K, but at the same time, we also have a lot of liquidity to the downside at 69.1K, which is the all-time high from the previous cycle. So this could potentially also be a level where the price gets attracted to. And in order to get a better understanding of what we can expect in the short term here, let's take a look at a longer time frame on these Bitcoin liquidation heat maps. So taking a look at this 3-day time frame, we can see that most of the liquidity is to the upside at 72.1K. So this is the most likely point that the price could get attracted to. However, there is also some liquidity to the downside that we must keep in mind. For example, we have a lot of liquidity right here at about 66.6K. So since there is a lot of liquidity to the upside and to the downside, I highly recommend you also keep an eye out for the technical indicators that I talked about earlier in this video, as well as the support and resistance levels, because those will be telling you exactly what you can expect in the short term. So if you do want to stay up to date with the crypto markets, I highly recommend you subscribe to my channel with notifications on, so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. And in the case that you are new here, you should definitely join my crypto Discord server, because this is just a great community to be in with a lot of active traders, as well as some of us just sharing our technical analysis here. So it's actually a great place to be a part of. And as you can see right here, I'm giving out 500 very early rolls, which are only for the first 500 members. And as of the time of recording, there are 496 people in the server, so there are still 4 spots left. So if you want to join, then go to the description of the video you're watching right now, and you can join for free by clicking on that first link to the Discord server. Now moving on to the Bitcoin ETF inflows, where we have seen yet another massive inflow of $300 million being bought on Tuesday, and we are just keeping this streak alive of massive hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into the Bitcoin ETFs every single weekday. So obviously, like I have been saying in every video recently, if this buying pressure keeps up, then obviously the Bitcoin price is going to keep on pumping, especially with the grayscale Bitcoin ETF investors not putting up any real selling pressure, because usually they sell close to $200 million worth of Bitcoin every single weekday. However, recently, not only have they not been selling a lot of Bitcoin, some days they were actually net buyers, completely leaving the door open for other Bitcoin ETFs to buy Bitcoin and actually send up the price much higher. Now moving on to Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame, where a couple of weeks ago Ethereum reached $4,000 and got rejected from that 0.786 Fibonacci level, where we then traded all the way to the 0.5 Fibonacci level and then found some support there. And what we can see right now is that, of course, we had this massive bump to the upside due to the news that the Ethereum ETFs will likely be approved. And right now, exactly as expected, we are seeing a little bit of consolidation in the price of Ethereum, because obviously on the RSI momentum indicator, we reached way overbought territories, reaching all the way up to 89. So right now the RSI is just resetting a little bit. And if you really want to see this like crazy bullish momentum keep up, then ideally you would see the RSI, for example, trade down to this level at about 62 and then get a bounce from there. But of course, it would also be completely normal if the price just keeps consolidating a little bit, or even getting a bit of bearish momentum here in order to reset that RSI back to around the 50 level before then potentially making its next move. And taking a look at these short-term support and resistance levels for Ethereum, another reason why we are consolidating is actually because Ethereum reached exactly into my level of resistance, which is sitting from 3750 all the way up to 3800. So even though Ethereum is right now consolidating, in the case that we do see a breakout to the upside from that level, so above 3800 right here, well, then likely Ethereum will go up to the next level of resistance above that, which is sitting at $4,000, all the way up to 4,100 for the price of Ethereum, with the critical resistance level actually being this 0.786 Fibonacci level at $4,000. And this is an important level to break because not only is it a big psychological level breaking $4,000, it is also this Fibonacci level. And therefore, if we do break above it, very likely we will be going up to this level, which is the all-time high for this cycle so far. However, in the case that we do see Ethereum start trading to the downside right here, well, what we could expect is to get some short-term support right here at about 36.50. But if the price does trade below that support level, then likely it will fall into the next level of support below that, which is sitting from 35.30 all the way down to 34.30. And now taking a look at this falling wedge pattern for Ethereum, which I have been calling out for a long time here, saying it was more likely to break out to the upside at some point, which it did. We got that breakout, retest, and then a resumption from there. And obviously a very nice resumption. But either way, now that we have broken this high, potentially we could be looking at this high over here, which, like I said earlier, is sitting at about $4,090, $4,100, roughly speaking. But of course, keep in mind the resistance levels in between that I was talking about earlier. Either way, I just wanted to have mentioned this because I did call out this exact breakout as soon as it broke out in my videos, as well as in my Discord server. Now, it already has reached this first price target for me personally, at least, but there is also this price target, which is sitting at the top of the range at about that $4,100 level that I was talking about earlier in the video as well, in the case that it does break above that Fibonacci level at $4,000. So that is something to keep in mind, as well as, of course, the resistance levels in between the current price and that Fibonacci level. Now moving on to Solana on the 4-hour time frame, where yesterday I said we were getting a rejection from this 0.786 Fibonacci level, and then we perfectly bounced from this 0.618 Fibonacci level. So the key levels to watch here on this Fibonacci chart is the 0.618 at $174 and the 0.786 Fibonacci level at $190. And now taking a look at the 4-hour time frame for Solana, you can see that we got a perfect rejection from this level of resistance that I called out in my video, which is sitting from 187 all the way up to $191 for the price of Solana. And when we got that rejection, we fell right into this big level of support, sitting from 181 down to $176 for the price of Solana. So before we start talking about this support level right here, what you really want to see is that Solana keeps trading above this trend line, because in the case that you see something like this, where Solana starts trading below that trend line, potentially it could mean a trend shift for Solana, where we are then trading lower. And in the case that you do see Solana trade below that $176 level, well, in that case, the next big level of support below that is sitting from 171 all the way down to $167 for the price of Solana. Either way, if this was the bounce and we actually just start trading to the upside here, breaking above that $192 level, well, in that case, the next big resistance level is from 198 all the way up to $208 for the price of Solana. So likely if we get into this level, likely the price will need some time to actually test it and actually break above it if we do break above it. Either way, this has been today's market update video. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.